Guys, welcome to Under the Lights, a boxing talk show powered by Sportology TV. My name's Uni. That's my co-host, Ali Drew. Just before Ali introduces our guest this week, last week we had Liam Smith join us, the former world champion, talk about Canelo, his brother Callum Smith, his next fights, and much, much more. So definitely give that a check out. Before I pass it over to Ali, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever you can on the channel to make sure that we go on and provide a lot of high quality content for yourself. But Ali, this week, who have we got on?
Yes, on this week's episode, we are joined by a former British and Commonwealth champion. He's also a former world title challenger. We are delighted to be joined by Kevin Mitchell. Kevin, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you? You both good?
We're good. We're good. How's life treating you?
Much better now. I've retired, sort of thing. I've met some good people in the last 5 years. I've been a bit more mature about what I do nowadays and a bit more smarter how I do things. Yeah, and life's been good.
Kev, I know you're quite busy with sort of training a lot of fighters. I've met you over the last couple of months where we've been at shows together.
Yeah.
So just talk to me about that. How's life as a trainer? How's that treating you?
Yeah, I prefer it. I think giving my advice out of what I've experienced over the years and my game plans. All the years when I was a boxer, I'd keep all my combinations and my mindset a secret. I wouldn't tell people how to do things. But now, obviously, I'm teaching it, I'm coaching, and I'm loving it. Yeah, it's just guiding kids out of trouble, keeping them out of arm's reach, and basically making sure they don't make the same mistakes that I made. I.e., going with the wrong trainers, going with the wrong management teams. Boxing's a big thing. When you think it's a sport, it's not a sport. When you turn professional, it's a business. So I try to teach these kids basically where they're going wrong and where to go right.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that's a very important lesson because nowadays, I've been in boxing for quite a while now. You hear about a lot of people getting screwed over with money, not getting paid on time, not getting paid the right amounts of money. So it is you need a good team in regards to that side and as well as the coaching side like yourself. But yeah, so just for the people who are not aware, who are you training at the moment? I know I've interviewed yourself in a couple of fighters, but just for people.
I was looking after O'Hara Davies. We've just split on good terms. He's gone back with basically got him fit for the Golden Contract final. But then I thought if they want me to put my full time into him, it's got to be me. I've got to be the lead coach in that. But then there's my old friend Will. He wanted to be lead coach. There's too much drama, so I said, you know what, I'll step away, let you do your thing. I'm not really one for doing it. It's either me or it's my way or the our way. You can't. If I'm teaching someone something, I've done what I've done for a very long time, for 30 years. I've been with some of the best coaches in the world. And you can't tell me how to suck eggs, sort of thing, if you get me. So I've had to split with O'Hara. I've been training Jordan Flynn for a good couple of years now. He's just had a knee operation. He's had his meniscus and his ACL put back. So he's going to leave him at the ring for a good another 4 months, I think. And also, I've got a young squad coming through from the West Ham team. So the West Ham Amateur Boxing Club, got a good little squad coming through there. My son's one of them, who's a good fighter. I've got a good little squad coming through.
How old is your son, Kev?
He's 16. He's like a man now.
Yeah. How's he getting on? Is he fighting in the amateur ranks?
Yeah, he's 11 and lost 1, but he's really 11. He's 11 and lost 2, but he's lost 1 really. He was in the national championships, but he got shut down in the semi-finals last year because of COVID.
Okay.
And basically just keeping him ticking over, sort of thing, just so until it opens back up and that. I think I'll turn him over the age of 19, 20. I won't let him go too late in the amateurs because I'm watching the GB kids when they turn over late in their careers. Not many of them can do the distance. They can't. They're not good enough to do the longer rounds. You get the odd one like Josh Taylor that's unbelievable and it can do the 12 rounds. You get the freaks like that, but majority of them they turn over late and they're just too past. They're so good used to being trained over 3 rounds, then to try and use that energy over 12 rounds is totally different. Do you know what I mean?
How have you found it? Obviously, the amateur games sort of halted in the last year. How has that been? Obviously, training with upcoming fighters, it must be hard to keep them motivated and keep them in the game, really.
Yeah, Ali, what you get, Ali, you got a lot of kids from bad poverty backgrounds and that, from Kansas states, And the main thing is, what if kids ain't in the gym, what are they doing? They're getting in trouble. I was that kid. I come from that background. So you get a lot of like, mums and dads on the phone to me trying to get me to ring around the kids and making sure they're all right. But then, yeah, I know the mindset of the kids. I know what they're up to. So they get in trouble. They're doing the wrong things. And for me, it's just like ringing up, keeping them. My son's in touch with them all anyway. So I try and keep them all with me. And when I can get them in the parks and that, I train them in the parks and do bits and bobs with them like that. But I need to get the gyms back open because the kids are going mad. The parents are going mad because the kids are locked up at home with their parents. And what you don't see is sometimes these kids, they've not got great parenting. So these kids find like the gym is like their home. And the majority, it's not all kids have got great parenting. So and it's like saying it's like 50-50, vice versa, whatnot. So they look at the gym as like a home to them. It's like an outlet for them, and it's a way to channel their energy and their aggression and that. So I think it's a big thing that we need to get it back up and running again soon.
Kev, I just want to talk about the picture I've got over here of Canelo. I want to talk about his performance this weekend. Fought in a mandatory against Avni Yildirim. Beat him, his corner pulled him out after the third round. Just talk to me about Canelo, Kev. How good a fighter is he?
He's good. If you're talking about, if you want to speak the truth, I'll speak the truth because I'm ruthless. And if he was in the room with me, I'll still speak the truth about him. I don't care about him.
Tell me the truth.
I think he's cheating. I think he's been juiced up to the eyeballs. I think all that nonsense about getting caught eating the wrong steak, come on, let's not have a laugh. But that's just the truth. And I think a lot of them in America are on it. I think we've cottoned on to it over in the English. I think the only way you can compete with these kids nowadays is to go with them. Like you got runners doing it, swimmers doing it, rowers doing it. They're all cheating nowadays. And if that's the way the world's going, that's the way the world's going. Not being funny. What he got caught with in his system, we all know what it does to you. He should have been on. He should have got a massive ban. But he didn't. And the reason he didn't get a massive ban is because he brings too much revenue and money-wise into the boxing world. But it's just, as you say, what it is, it's corrupt. So, like, you got like some Billy Joe, who's a straight kid. He was an absolute, he's probably the best kid up in the gym of them all. Kawasaki, Dale Barker, Spencer Oliver's. Billy Joe's probably the most natural gifted kid I've ever met in a gym. I've been in with loads of Americans, Cubans, Russians. You know, I could always, when I was always sparring, I could always get my hands on the kid. Sparring Billy Joe, you couldn't get near him.
Yeah, Kev, just before we talk about Billy Joe and Canelo, I just want to ask you, in regards to drugs, is there a lot of it going about? Because you're actually in the gyms, you mingle with a lot of the fighters, but
I don't think it's too rife in the English gyms yet. But I don't give it a few more years, man. I think it will be. Obviously, it's rife in American gyms because you've got like fighters winning world titles in their 50s, but I could win one in my 20s, not in my 50s. Do you know what I mean? So, like, and I'll just speak the truth because it is the truth, and the public deserves to know the truth because it ain't. I'm one thing, but I ain't full of crap. I'll speak the truth. I got to my early 30s, and my body was riddled with injuries. Now, you're getting these fighters in America, they're going in their 40s and 50s, and they're winning titles. You think, how is their body doing that? So, I mean, it's just not possible, really, to be the truth in the fight game because majority of us have been boxing since we was kids, so we've carried injuries for a very long time. But I think the American gyms, they're a lot more up to, they know what drugs to take, when not to take them, cut switches and that sort of things. So when they get tested, they're not getting caught. But yeah, it's just the truth in the matter of the sport, isn't it?
So do you think, based on that, do you think Billy Joe has a chance against beating Canelo in May?
I'm really good friends with Billy Joe. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and I just said to him, I'm really good with game plans and tactics and that. I'm smart with things like that. And I know when I fought Prescott as a massive puncher, don't get me wrong, our level of boxing, mine and Prescott versus Billy Joe and Canelo is totally different. But the game plan would have to line out the same. I'd say you'd have to start off making him miss and throwing 2 punch combinations at a time. Then go straight back on your defense, making him miss, 2 punch combinations. And the reason I say 2 punch combinations is when you throw 2 punches, it narrows down his chance of landing these big shots. If you start letting combinations go at Canelo, he's going to have a field day and get his power shots off. But if you narrow down his options by basically only throwing 2 punch combinations at a time or even 1 punch combinations, and keep slipping and sliding. I think if Billy Joe's strong enough physically and has the right sparring in, I think there's a possibility he could nick it. But if you say I was a betting man, I'd go with Canelo. But it can be done. Do you know what I mean? It can be done. But I know Billy Joe, his head movement is unbelievable. Like, I sparred with everybody. You know, it never hurt me, Billy Joe, because he was a bit bigger than me, his class. But you can never hit him.
The only issue that I see with this is that even if you try to take Canelo to points, it's going to be hard to get a points decision against Canelo anyway. We saw that with Golovkin. First fight was close, man. I thought Golovkin won that fight.
Yeah, I thought Golovkin won it. But
Yeah.
as I said, like, as in so, like, they need to get calmed down with all this, like, the way the boxing world works, because like the fans are getting sick of it. They want. I thought Golovkin won that fight, but then when you say Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd Mayweather, I thought De La Hoya won that fight.
It was a close fight. Yeah.
But do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like the fans get sick of like robberies and things like. It's happening at all levels in the sport. It happens in the amateur game, and really, it's just a joke.
It's happened quite a lot recently. There's been quite a lot of robberies or close fights that people weren't really happy. Not even robberies, just the scorecards. Even if they thought maybe the right winner got it, the scorecards have been ridiculous. There's been a lot of it.
Johnny Wilder versus Callum Smith, because Callum Smith was a big cash and cash fight Canelo, and Johnny Wilder fight versus Canelo weren't as good. Although I do say, John Wilder's probably got the most chance out of them all to beat Canelo, because the money ain't there for the John Wilder fight. So John got robbed. Do you know what I mean? So like it's happening all the time. But it's what you don't get is it's a sickness, because the kids. Say if John Wilder had beat Callum Smith, John Wilder's next fight would then probably got £3 million against Canelo. His life's secure then, but now he's still banging around in the gyms now trying to get a date.
Kev, do you reckon boxing is corrupt? Do you reckon there's corruption in boxing?
Do you let us swear on this? I think there's a lot of bullshit involved in it, boxing. There's a lot of none of us are stupid. Ali, I suppose you're picking up as you go along now, Ali. But I've been involved in boxing since I've been a 7-year-old kid. I started boxing at 10, but I just think boxing's it's all about money, isn't it? And the cash in cows. Like, what's Canelo? He signed a deal with the zone, didn't he?
Yeah.
And basically, he signed mega money. So basically, he is where the money is, isn't he?
Yeah, he decides. I think he decides who he fights. He decides when he fights. He decides how much notice he gives to people. So there's a lot of control that he can have over any opponent he has.
And he calls it on the last minute and says you've got to be ready.
But the fair play. One thing about Canelo is he was in this big contract with DAZN. They had a legal dispute. He's out of that contract with DAZN now. He got a settlement figure. He's out of that contract with DAZN, and now he's fighting people that he wants to fight. That Billy Joe Saunders fight didn't need to happen. He has picked it. From what I know is that he wants these fights. He wanted the big fights. It's just that sort of DAZN or whatever else might have held him back. I'm not sure if that's legally if that was the case, but I think from his side he was saying that he was getting held back by some people, but not himself. But yeah. I don't think that he doesn't want the fights. I think the fact that Billy Joe Saunders fight's happening is because he wants big fights. But just talk to me about that fight. I know you've told Bill what to do, but Canelo's last couple of performances have been impressive. I've
always been impressed by Canelo. I think he's unbelievable. I think his power, his speed, his defence, his movement, and I believe he picked up a lot of his movement when he fought Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah,
I think he studied after he boxed Floyd. I think don't get me wrong, Floyd again is another one. He picked his fights at the right times. He fought Canelo when he was a kid. Canelo was going in for a good payday, thought he was getting good money, and Floyd knew that it was too young. But I think from that fight, Canelo studied his movement and how his body pattern works. I think he's a monster, isn't he? He's a beast. He is what he is.
That's a lesson for a lot of young fighters. Like we saw Josh Kelly lose to David Avanesian the other week, and people are on social media saying, "Oh, that's it, he's finished now. Josh Kelly's finished." But from what
me personally, with Josh Kelly, I think he needs to go back to the drawing board. Think about what he's doing. A lot of these kids, they sign up with these training teams, these strength conditioning coaches, and these trainers because they've got good fighters behind them, but. The truth in it is, they need proper. I think someone like Josh Kelly needs a proper old school trainer. Someone's going to put him through his paces. Someone that's going to graft him. And I think that these kids just need to think about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, how their routine is, and I watch a lot of young kids, and I just think, mate, that I've been around a lot of trainers over there that are full of shit. And I've also been around a lot of trainers that don't say much, like Tony Sims, who's a great trainer that actually cares about his fighters, who's taught me how to be a trainer. And these kids are so easily manipulated by people speaking and talking well on camera. But I think if as I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, there's a reason it keeps breaking. Do you get me?
So
something needs to change.
From what I'm saying is, obviously Josh Kelly's lost the fight, but it doesn't mean that his career's over. He needs to learn from it, like Canelo did, and like a lot of other fighters have done, right?
Of course, yeah, 100%. Like you're not finished. A couple of losses or a draw or whatnot, it's nothing. He didn't really get hurt much in there. I know there was a bit of blood in that, but that's blood that mean much. It wasn't. He's not had no proper severe beating. Do you know what I mean? But I know Josh 100% come back from now, and I believe if Josh picks the right things in his career now to move forward to benefit his career, make him better, and thinks about what he's doing on a day-to-day basis every day, I believe he can go on and become a very good champion. As long as he picks the right things.
Yeah, because
it's crucial, mate. It's very crucial.
You're right in when you say, a loss doesn't define you and doesn't end a career. Like Lomachenko, I think, he's recently lost to Teofimo Lopez, and a lot of people are writing him off, saying, that's him done. But a loss, he can come back from it. He's one of the best in the world. He's, pound for pound great, and a lot of people are writing him off just from that loss.
No, do you know what? We went to meet Lomachenko and my sons and that. And I think Lomachenko's class, and I think and to be honest, I think Lomachenko took that fight with injury. Okay. I think he had injury before that fight even went on. And I think you'll see him come back. He's a class act. When I met him, he had a powerful aura about him. Like he had like a very he just had a powerful aura about himself, and like he used class, man. He is class, isn't he? Like he's at the topless level. He's the best. He's the best of the best. I'd like to see the rematch of that fight. Don't get me wrong. I think Lopez, he chose the right tactics. Don't throw too many punches at him, because if you throw too many punches at him, Loma gets his head moving, going, and then starts flowing, getting his combinations going. So they chose the right tactics. But I'd like to see the rematch, because I believe personally that he was injured before the fight. He didn't make no excuses. He went in with an injury, got beat, got his payday. I believe now, I think he'll come back and he'll change that.
We've actually just nicely flowed into the next sort of topic we want to talk about, which is that lightweight division, the division that a lot of people are talking about in the world. It's one of the most packed divisions. Two names, one name that you mentioned there, Teofimo Lopez. Another name that sticks out is Gervonta Davies. Then you got Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Talk to me about that division, Kev.
Obviously, I say Lopez is one of the governors. I think Garcia needs, if I was looking after Garcia, training him, managing him, I'd take him straight out of that mix for a good couple of years, and I'd move him back in the mix when they're all a little bit older and when Garcia's matured a bit. Garcia's like a kid, not being rude. I know my levels in boxing, and if you told me I was fighting Garcia in my prime, I'd have beat Garcia, I'd have knocked him out. Watching what Luke Campbell did to him the other week. Yeah. Now, if you put me in Lopez, I'd have been out with depth. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that Garcia's as well out of his depth in a minute at that level.
Do you think that he can get to that level? You just think he needs a few more years?
I just think there's a few more years of maturity, a few more years of growing, a bit more experience in the ring. That Luke Campbell fight showed me so much about him. He wasn't nowhere near as good as I thought he was. In this day and age, with the TV and social media, we think of the fighters a lot better than what they are. And that's what they've pumped him on social media. He's this great fighter. And he went out against Luke. And if Luke was a better finisher, he would have had him out of there. But I think he was lucky that he had that as a learning curve and he got the win out of that fight. But now I think that the person the guys managing him or training him, the people looking after him, they've got to give him a couple of years to learn his trade and experience a bit more experience in that ring and grow.
The counter argument to that then, Kev, is that what he did was he got hurt, but then he showed heart, he showed skills after that, because what he did to Luke Campbell, no one else has done. No one's put Luke Campbell down and stopped him the way he stopped him. So that's the counter argument. Then you could also talk about other fights that have happened in the past, like Klitschko Joshua. If Klitschko had finished Joshua, then is Joshua a bad fighter? But no, he's not now. 2 years or 3 years later.
You're looking at the levels of what he's going to be mixing at. Luke Campbell ain't nowhere near like Lopez. Luke Campbell is nowhere near like Linares. So, I mean, you've got your levels in the sport. So I'm not stupid. I can mix at world level, but I was nowhere near the elite. I'd have got battered by the elite. You've got to know your levels. And for him to get put over like that, and he went over heavy, and it weren't really a massive shot, it was just a clip. It shows your vulnerabilities in him. And it ain't vulnerabilities, it's where he's young, he's still growing into a man. Like he's not there yet. If you put him in the ring with Lopez now, it will get ruined.
Do you think that Lopez is higher level than all the rest? Do you think that he is the sort of, obviously he's got the belt?
What's the kid who Floyd Mayweather was looking after the minute?
Gervonta Davies, tank.
I'd like to see Gervonta Davies versus him. I don't really like him as a person. I see him grab his old woman up. I think he's a bit of a wrong one, but I'd like to see him fight Lopez. I think Lopez. The reason I'd like to see him because I think Lopez will proper bash him.
Okay.
And that's what I'd like to see.
Oh, okay. That's probably the best fight in that division, to be honest. That's probably one.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and I like the way Lopez is. I like the way he goes on camera. See, boxers, they show like a tough guy image in that, but really, if you're a boxer, most of my mates are boxers. We're all quite emotional people, but as when you're fighting, you don't really show it.
Yeah.
I like the way he went on TV, and he spoke about his dad, and he got emotional about his back and showed his soft side to him. Because most fighters have got a very soft side to him, but we don't show it. But it's class how he showed that soft side to him. But when he comes out, he's a different animal. I think he's the real deal, that kid.
Is it the fighters don't show the soft side because they don't want to show a side or let their guard down to any opponents, anything like that? Is that why fighters try to have this macho charisma and macho character that they carry about? Is that why, Kev?
I think when I was in my career, I think I just played that image in it. I was talking to Amir Khan's uncle, Taz, and I'm always joking and messing around now, and he can't believe why I'm like this. When you're in your career, Kev, Taz goes, "Why was you so angry?" I said, "It was my job to be angry." I was always like, and that's how I had to be. But now I'm nothing like that now. Do you know what I mean? But like, even when you're in your career, I suppose that you have to portray that, be that way. And I think what I liked about Lopez is that he showed his vulnerabilities. He shows that he's low. But as soon as he steps in that ring, mate, he's a different animal. And I think he's just a class act. The way I like watching him talk on TV. I like the way he jokes about in the gym and that. I like the way he gives time to everyone. He's what a champion is.
To be fair, though, with Lopez, he's getting paid good money now. In his next fight, he's earning over 4.5 million.
Yeah, and he bloody deserves it as well. Also, he comes from an hard background with no money. Yeah, and he deserves it.
Perfect. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you. Thank you for joining us on the show. And hopefully get the amateurs back out again soon. Your son can get back out fighting. Yeah,
fingers crossed. Hopefully so, yeah.
Hopefully I'll bump into you at some point whilst you're at the shows or somewhere at some point.
I've got something big happening up in the city soon. Something big happening up. When it happens up, I'll invite you to it all. It'd be a big thing though, yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, perfect.
We look forward to that, Kev. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Great to be joined there by Kevin Mitchell and hearing his thoughts on everything going on in the boxing world at the moment. But guys, we've got plenty more coming up, loads of guests lined up. So please stay tuned. Do what you can to support the channel. Subscribe, like, leave some comments, share, whatever you can. We appreciate it. And we will see you next time.